Welcome to the Football Frenzy. I'm Paul Valley, and with me, as always, is Adam Rothgeb.
See ya.
We're going to talk about the Ravens playing the Browns today. First, we're going to recap last week's game. The Ravens played the Chiefs. They lost 33-28. Inexplicably, John Harbaugh goes for two, not once, not twice, but three times. One of those times was when they were down by 9, or down by 11, and it was going to make the deficit 9. Didn't make a lot of sense, but they figure if they score a touchdown and a field goal, maybe they win the game.
Yeah.
But that's assuming that you hold the Chiefs down, which you haven't shown you can do, right? Lamar Jackson, worst game of the year, and I use that term loosely because he still played fairly well. Now, look, the completion percentage was down. It was 22 of 43. That's 51%.
Yeah.
267 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He has 46 yards rushing and a touchdown. Still hasn't turned the ball over this year, which is what you want to see considering he fumbled, 12 times last year?
It was a lot of fumbles last year.
Right. But a lot of throws he'd like to have back. He even said in meetings and to the press that he watched film and got angry at the throws he missed.
Yeah, he's very pissed off at himself, and he missed a couple of big ones to Marquise Brown earlier in the game that might have changed the tide. I mean, pretty sure that one over the middle probably would have been a touchdown to Marquise. He had some really great throws later in the game in the second half. That Miles Boykin throw on the side of the end zone that just nipped off his fingertips. He just didn't have the complete accuracy that we had seen the first two games. Now, it wasn't awful. He just wasn't pinpoint, which is what we needed going up against such a high-powered offense in Kansas City that we saw.
Right. And you mentioned Miles Boykin. Look, any wide receiver not named Marquise Brown needs to step up.
Yes.
All right. Boykin, 2 catches for 16 yards. He had the touchdown in the first game, but who didn't have a touchdown against the Dolphins? And he's been a non-factor. Same thing with Willie Snead. Willie Snead is supposed to be your possession receiver. A lot of people thought he's going to lead this team in receptions. He has 6 receptions through 3 games. That game against the Cardinals, he had 1 catch for 5 yards. He had 3 catches last week.
Yeah.
Couple crucial penalties, couple crucial drops. Willie Snead, in my opinion, Boykin, okay, you're a 3rd-round pick. You're a rookie. There's some of those first-year struggles that you're going to have.
Yeah.
Willie Snead, to me, has no excuses. Ravens need to find a way to get him the ball, and he needs to find a way to catch it and make something happen.
Yes, he's dropped a couple of passes this year. It's been awful as far as that was concerned. Now, it's looking as if Marquise and Mark Andrews are definitely that 1-2 for Lamar going forward. Now,
Right.
every quarterback has their favorites, and with some exceptions, maybe a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers don't really care who the hell they throw the ball to. They just want to get it in somebody's hands to make a play. But the spreading the ball around sometimes is going to lead to some players just completely disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Roberts has made a couple of catches this year. Willie Snead, just a couple of catches. Hayden Hurst, only a couple of catches. It's all going to be dependent on what the defense is going to give him. Now, you see that speed in Marquise Brown. You want to hit him and get the ball in his hands because he can do damage, severe damage to a defense with his speed and his agility and the ability to make people miss. And Mark Andrews, what else can you say about the guy? He's a top 5 tight end, in my opinion, already right now.
Absolutely. With the tight ends, this was supposed to be a special group, right? You have former 1st-round pick in Hayden Hurst. He was injured most of last year, comes back healthier, put on a ton of muscle in the offseason. You sign Nick Boyle to that long extension, but mainly to block, right? And you have Mark Andrews, who became your best target last year, is clearly your best target this year next to Brown. Boyle has more catches and more targets than Hurst.
Yes.
Hurst has to be more involved, I feel. I feel like if you drafted in the 1st round, use the guy. Now, look, he's going to catch maybe 3-4 balls a game, but I'd like to see him get a little bit deeper targets. I'd like to see him get more red zone targets because that's a big body that you need to utilize.
Yes. I feel like this offense could really do some damage with someone, showing some 3 tight end sets.
Mm-hmm.
Get all 3 of them on the field at one time. Hayden Hurst, is a great pass-catching tight end. Mark Andrews was known more as a split flanker type tight end in Oklahoma. He's got wide receiver skills, but he's built like a tight end. But he's improved his blocking greatly, which is why he's going to stay on the field all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that Nick Boyle is considered one of the top, if not the top blocking tight end in all of the NFL. So he's going to be on the field a lot with a team that runs the ball as well as the Ravens do. They're first in rushing in the NFL again. So you're looking at maybe throwing that 3 tight ends. Have a receiver, have a running back, and that's it. Do some damage out of that. You show some different looks with 3 tight ends coming out. And you got all kinds of stuff you could do offensively with the amount of weapons we have. They just have to incorporate it. Now, maybe they've been holding back a little bit, and we'll see what happens with the upcoming games.
Right. And the running backs. Look, they're leading the NFL in rushing, and it's hard to take issue with a team that rushed for 203 yards on Sunday. But
4 rushing touchdowns all the way.
Yeah. And 4 rushing touchdowns, 3 from Mark Ingram, who, by the way, is 5th in the NFL in rushing, 2nd in the AFC, and is 3rd, I believe, 3rd in the NFL amongst running backs in yards per carry at 6. He's 4th overall, just behind number 3 guy, Lamar Jackson at 6.4. But he's not a running back.
Made that perfectly clear in his presser yesterday.
But right now, they carried the ball 32 times, and you have Lamar, Ingram, Andrews. Justice Hill still isn't established yet, but that's a guy who should be toting the rock more than once a game. And the game plan should have been time control, possess that clock, and ram the ball down their throats. They rushed for 200 yards on 32 carries, but Lamar threw the ball 43 times.
Yes.
That's not a recipe for success. I know you want to out gunsling Mahomes. You're not going to do that. Play your game and win the game.
That's what I was saying last week going into this matchup. I really felt like we needed to definitely be around 40 minutes of controlling the clock.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we ran the ball 32 times. We should have had it 42 times, 45 times, maybe 50 times. You're getting that many yards per attempt rushing the ball against this defense, which is a sieve against the run. You need to take full advantage. We did not. Add in some coaching blunders and some very big defensive mistakes, and it just led to us falling short with the comeback trail there in the 4th quarter against the team.
Absolutely, and it was one of those games. It went about the way we expected. It was close at the end. It was a winnable game for the Ravens, but Patrick Mahomes, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns. Defense did not have an answer for him, and when they did, you saw those yellow hankies all over the field.
It was bad. Now, the first quarter we held them down, but we got some consistent pressure. Matt Judon looked fantastic again. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. I mean, he was all over the backfield. Now, he can't do it alone, obviously. Mm-hmm. The defense had busted coverage after busted coverage. The 83-yarder to Mecole Hardman. I made a point during the broadcast. We're watching the play unfold, and the Ravens. I see the corner slide over to the boundary. I'm like, you're leaving a receiver wide open. What's going on with this coverage? It can't be what it is supposed to be. Even with a safety maybe rolling over, the safety's got to roll over to cover the other. There was 3 wide receivers on that side. What are you doing? You're leaving probably the fastest player on the field at that point uncovered.
Right. So, well, he did line up in the neutral zone. It was not called. That was clearly very bad. In the neutral zone. Marlon Humphrey wasn't on the field then.
Nope.
Right? Nope. Now, lots of blown calls or non-calls from the referees. The ones that come to mind, pass interference on Tony Jefferson on an interception. That was not pass interference. Their feet got tangled. They both fell over. Same thing happened to Hollywood in the end zone, and there was no flags, and it was incidental contact. You look at the Willie Snead phantom holding call on the 52-yard run by Gus Edwards that got negated because of the call. You look at the offensive pass interference on Miles Boykin on a lateral that should have never been called.
That's a run.
Right. Then on the other side of the ball, I believe it's on the Shady McCoy touchdown reception.
Yes.
Peanut is running towards the quarterback.
Literally
Tackled from behind. Totally illegal. Yeah. Right? And then Patrick Mahomes on 3rd down throws the ball away, gets pulled down by the back of his jersey. It was a loose horse collar, but no call until they show the referee looking at him in the eyes, and he throws a flag after Mahomes says something. That's Tom Brady 101, right?
That was brutal. It was brutal. And the thing I saw that out of our 7 penalties in this game, only 7, 7 that were accepted, I should say, 4 of them gave the Chiefs a first down on 3rd down. Now, we can't have that. Now, we can't always control exactly what the referees are going to call against the Ravens. Every team goes against it every single week. And the officiating in the NFL right now is just atrocious.
It is. It's bad.
And you got to play to that. You really got to mind your P's and Q's when you're out in the defensive backfield, especially the defensive backfield, with these interference calls. That Tony Jefferson call was complete bogus. The dude was turned. He was looking for the ball, and the guy falls over, and he falls over top of him, and that's apparently interference. Not from where I grew up.
And they didn't
football.
call that on the exact same type of play with Hollywood in the end zone.
It was just bad all around. It hurt. It hurt. It wasn't the only reason why we lost the game, but it definitely, I'm sorry, the Ravens lost the game, but it definitely is something that we have to prepare your mind for. There's going to be calls that go against the teams. Every team needs to adjust accordingly, and you have to play through it and not harp on it. And I think we did a really good job in the second half of continuing to. The Ravens kept pushing. They just couldn't get that big third down stop that they needed to get off the field and let Lamar try to work his magic and come back and maybe score that game-winning touchdown at the end.
Well, and look, with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, the Ravens are never out of a football game. You look at that playoff game against the Chargers, they could do nothing against that defense. They get to the fourth quarter, they let Lamar start throwing the ball a little bit, so it's 2 touchdowns to Michael Crabtree. They had the ball with a minute to go with a chance to win the game, but Lamar fumbled. This game, they were down 23-6 at halftime, and the final score is 33-28. The Ravens are never out of a football game as long as Lamar Jackson is under center. Home field advantage in the NFL is more than just being in front of your loud home fans. It has a lot to do with you're going to get calls at home that you don't get on the road. And with Lamar Jackson becoming an up-and-comer in the NFL, the Ravens are going to start getting some of those calls too at home. It's going to happen because he's a marquee player in the NFL. So we're going to start reaping the benefits of that.
Yes.
But that is home field advantage. You get the calls that you might not otherwise get. Now, moving on, Ravens are taking on the Browns this week. The Browns, they lost on Sunday Night Football, another primetime game for them. They lost to the Rams 20-13. Baker Mayfield throws an interception in the end zone with 33 seconds left on the clock. Look, Mayfield this year, 57% completion percentage, 805 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. 3 touchdowns with Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. catching passes for you. What's going on with Cleveland?
The offense is stuck in the mud. Freddie Kitchens has not figured out how to be a head coach and call offensive plays yet. He just doesn't. It looks like he's overwhelmed to me.
It's a lot on one.
It's a team that's completely lacking discipline. I mean, they're averaging 12 penalties a game. They're averaging over 100 penalty yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to continue to sustain anything offensively or even defensively from as good as that defense is, and they are very good. But how do you sustain anything? You're inside the 10-yard line there. You don't run the ball one time. Not one single time.
With Nick Chubb.
4 throws into the end zone. All 4 awful. Just awful routes. Awful route combinations. That last play, he's throwing up a wing and a prayer, hoping he maybe gets the receiver to catch the ball. I mean, the offensive line is trash. They traded away their best offensive lineman to get another pass rusher who, by the way, really hasn't done a whole lot, in Olivier Vernon. But where is their strategy here? Baker Mayfield looks like he's succumbing to the pressure of being on the forefront for a change instead of being that lurking in the background. You don't know what I'm going to do. I'm feeling dangerous this morning. He ain't felt dangerous all season so far, with the exception of a pitiful Jets performance against their third-string quarterback, which I think they lucked out on.
Yeah.
But
that's a different game.
They've got to figure themselves out. They haven't yet, so we've really got to. The Ravens have got to take advantage. They've got to take advantage of a team that's still trying to find themselves and really not hitting on any of the cylinders they have offensively just yet.
Absolutely have to take advantage. This is the first of 3 straight division games, 2 of which are going to be at home, right? You're playing the Browns, who, if the Browns win, they leapfrog you, and they go in the first place, which was something that we did not see coming.
No.
After the second week of the season, because after the Ravens start 2-0, Browns have that lackluster performance. They go out and they lose to the Rams, which I expected. But look, this defense ain't the Chiefs' defense.
No.
Now look, they're 10th overall in defense. They're 10th against the pass. They're allowing 213 yards a game. 14th against the run at 102 yards a game. But that defense is nasty. Myles Garrett has 6 sacks and 8 quarterback hits this year. Second in the NFL, only to Matthew Judon, who has 9 quarterback hits.
Yes.
But that defense is gonna be out there looking for blood. And you want to say the Ravens need to run the ball 50 times, but how are you going to run the ball 50 times against a stout run defense that the Browns have?
This is going to be one of those supremely balanced games. You're going to have to game plan it up really well if you're the Ravens. Now you're going to have to be on top. The offensive line for the Ravens has got to have their best game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to. Myles Garrett is just a nasty, destructive force, and something else to be worried about going into this game with Myles Garrett. Not just the 6 sacks. He's got 4 personal fouls against quarterbacks. He basically eliminated the second-string quarterback against the Jets.
Oh, that was
He
nasty.
took out Trevor Siemian. He's got 4 of those penalties himself already in just this short amount of time in the season. Against a quarterback who's as mobile as Lamar Jackson, that's something to really stress and look forward to seeing. How are they going to avoid that possible tragedy if he injures Lamar Jackson with one of these crappy late hits that he likes to throw on quarterbacks?
Oh, man, you better knock on some wood there.
I'll knock on every ounce of wood in my house right now if I have to.
Well, it should be a tough game. I think the Ravens do need to establish the run.
Yes.
Mark Ingram is one of the best running backs in football right now. Gus Edwards, every time he touches the ball, it seems like he's breaking it for 5 or more yards, including a couple big gainers and that one that got negated against the Chiefs. Justice Hill, maybe get him some swing passes, some screen passes. Dude's a playmaker.
Yes.
He's fast. Get the ball in his hands somehow, because once he gets in the open field, he's tough to catch.
I think that's what they're trying. I don't think they're so much using him as a running back so much to speak as far as when he's in the game. I think they just want to get him the ball in space.
Right.
They want to get him out in the open field and let him use his speed and agility to his advantage. It just hasn't quite clicked quite yet with this team with using Justice Hill, and which is fine because you got time. I mean, it's only week 4 of the season. The Ravens have plenty of time to incorporate more and more and more as we go forward, which you're going to do. This game is going to be about get back to your roots, get back to your defensive roots, which we have completely, the Ravens, we've never seen a Ravens team look like this defensively. Mm-hmm. With the exception of the year after the Ravens blew it up, the year after the Super Bowl, 2003, when they just completely stripped down the defense, and it was atrocious. People running all over the place, wide open, this and 16th ranked defense for the Ravens. When's the last time we saw this?
Well, the
Ravens?
The 2012 Ravens defense was ranked 17th. A lot of the same struggles where they could not. They didn't have anybody in the secondary other than Ed Reed.
That secondary was pretty bad back then.
To make a play. The Ravens have players in the secondary. They are missing Tavon Young. They are missing Jimmy Smith. But Brandon Carr is no slouch. Marlon Humphrey's one of the top 5 corners in the league. You have Earl Thomas back here. You have Tony Jefferson playing a better, strong safety because he gets to come up a little bit more in the box and really play the run well.
Yes.
It's a lack of communication, and it's just something they got to get their heads on the same page if they want to go out there and they want to win. The Ravens win this game, then they have 2 easier games against the Bengals and the Steelers. They could put a real stranglehold on this division by week 7. They have to win this week, though.
If the Ravens can pull off these next 3 weeks, if the Ravens can do this, you're looking at a team that has 1 loss. They're 3-0 in the division already. You're looking ahead to, man, we have a complete stranglehold on a playoff position, and the division is in our grasp as long as we don't do anything dumb down the stretch against a bit harder stretch of teams in the latter half of the season. But they got to take this game. The Ravens need this big time against their chief rival in the division now that Ben Roethlisberger is down with the Steelers. So This is make or break. It's at home. Let's see this team sew it up, come out there, throw a great defensive performance along with a great offensive performance at home. Let's see the Ravens be the Ravens with their number 1 ranked offense and get that defense back to being more of what we're used to seeing in Baltimore, and let them put another notch on Cleveland's I hate you belt, because that's exactly what everybody in the league is trying to do.
Right. You mentioned the division. You mentioned Browns being the chief opposition to the Ravens right now. The other teams, we're going to move on to the playoff push here. And the Steelers, 0-3. Bengals, 0-3. Steelers lost to the 49ers 24-20. Bengals lost to the Bills 21-17. Andy Dalton, he is second in the NFL, 979 passing yards.
Yes.
Now, when you're 0-3, you're generally coming from behind, so you're going to throw the ball a lot more. Andy Dalton is not the second best passer in the NFL.
No.
All right, he just has to sling it up there a lot, especially because they're dead last in rushing offense. They're averaging 41.7 yards per game on the ground.
Who would have thought that?
Right.
Who really would have thought that from the Bengals?
AFC's leading rusher last year, Joe Mixon. Can't get anything going. Giovanni Bernard, I think he had 1 carry for 1 yard last week. They're not running the ball well, so they have to throw the ball to overcompensate for that. Then you look at the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger's out. Mason Rudolph, he was okay. 14-27, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. James Conner, 13 carries, 43 yards. He hasn't done anything this year. And then what the real hindrance here for the Steelers is their defense. Their defense is ranked 29th overall. They're 31st against the pass. They're 28th against the run. This isn't just a team that's not doing well because they lost their quarterback. By their numbers, they are a bad football team.
They're very bad. I mean, you look at both of these teams. Very evenly matched as far as the numbers dictate. I mean, both teams giving up over 400 yards a game on defense. Both teams are scoring under 20 points a game on offense. They're giving up, what is it? The Steelers give up 28 points a game on defense. The Bengals give up almost 28 themselves. I mean, you're looking at two very evenly matched teams. The Steelers last week, I mean, they just gave that game away. The 49ers tried to give it to them. Mm-hmm. 5 turnovers.
5 turnovers, insane.
Who the hell gives up 5 turnovers in one game and wins it?
You saw what happened on Monday Night Football. The Redskins turned the ball over 5 times, and that game was over at halftime.
That was what a 5-turnover game for the opposition is supposed to look like. You give me the ball 5 times, we're going to make you pay all 5 times. Mm-hmm. The Steelers did absolutely nothing right except force those turnovers. Everything else, atrocious. And we gotta sit here and watch this game on Monday Night Football. 2 bad teams, 2 bad defenses, 2 bad offenses, really. I mean, the Bengals might have a little bit of the edge offensively because they have a quarterback and a wide receiver who are kind of clicking together. The Steelers are finding themselves. They don't have a way just yet with Mason Rudolph, but we're going to see what happens.
Juju Smith-Schuster, spotlight's on him because Antonio Brown's gone. What are you going to do now as number 1 receiver? 3 catches, 81 yards, and a touch. I believe he had a touchdown the other day.
I believe, yes
3 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. But he hasn't really stepped up.
No.
You know, like we mentioned James Conner, he's been awful this year. Now, I expect that this game is going to feature a lot of running from both sides. You have 2 of the worst rated rush defenses in the NFL going against each other this week on Monday Night Football. Joe Mixon, again, we said he's the AFC's leading rusher last year. James Conner, he's been bad this year. They both have been bad this year. But James Conner kind of burst onto the scene last year and made the Steelers say, Le'Veon who?
Yeah, we don't need him.
Yeah, so I expect that they'll both get back on track this week. I think you're going to see a lot of carries for both running backs. And I think that this game is going to be close, but I'm going to give the edge to the Bengals on this one. I think the Bengals, despite being the team that we thought was going to be the worst in the division coming into this season, I think they're better than the Steelers all the way around.
They have put together and against some really tough opponents. I mean, you're talking about opening up in Seattle, and Andy Dalton had a great game. They played a Bills team that is, for one, very underrated defensively. Mm-hmm. Top 5 defense over there, up there in Buffalo. I mean, they are phenomenal. They fly, they hit the quarterback, they cover, they stop the run, and they are phenomenal. If neither of these 2 teams can run the ball Monday night, woof. I don't know what they're going to do for the rest of the season, because if they can't run on each other, then who in the world are they going to run on? Because these 2 teams are awful. I'm looking forward to watching it because I'm going to actually be rooting silently for the Bengals because I hate the Steelers so much. Mm-hmm. But either way, a win is a win for us Ravens fans who are looking forward to watching this. And it could be ugly. It's going to be close. I think I give the advantage to the Bengals myself on this one.
Yeah, and you mentioned the teams that the Bengals have played. They played the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Bills. 49ers and Bills are undefeated. And they they have good defenses too.
Yes,
You know,
very,
the 49ers blew them out. The 49ers are an up-and-coming team.
Yes, they are.
With Garoppolo back in the fold, with that defense playing at a high level, Richard Sherman getting back to being Richard Sherman there on the defense. 49ers have a good defense. Ravens are going to see them later this year. So I feel like we talked about, because they played the Bengals and the Steelers. We've talked about them every week, and we're going to continue to talk about them because they're a good football team. Help. They got to play them.
It's going to help us scout them a little bit because we're seeing them so much playing our division rivals, and it's going to help to see down the line. And you know, it's going to be interesting when we get down to that part of the schedule. Like I said, it's a lot tougher for the Ravens back end of the schedule, but it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to get there. But this upcoming game, it's going to be interesting, and I can't wait for Sunday afternoon, and I'm really looking forward to watching this game.
Yeah, it should be a good one. We're going to get to the predictions. I'm going to let you go first.
So you're looking at a Browns team that is clear up against the wall, and they've put themselves there. A lot of chit-chat, a lot of talk all offseason, paper champions. We have the best roster in the NFL. We're super loaded talent-wise. Baker, I wake up feeling dangerous every morning. Now he's getting a taste of what it feels like to have adult grown men and not college players coming back at you instead of just regular college players. So Browns are going to come in, and I feel they're going to come in with their hair on fire. The defense is going to make a strong push real early against us. The Ravens are going to have to withstand that defensive front. That defensive front is scary good, but they've got some holes in that secondary we can take advantage of. The Ravens are going to run the ball very, very well this game. For whatever reason, I feel like the Ravens are going to 150 plus on the ground.
Well, that's what they do every week.
And it's going to be vitally necessary this week because it helps to keep the Browns struggling because they're not going to be on the field enough to fix their offensive woes. Ravens win this game 27-17.
All right. You and I kind of on the same page here. I think Baker's going to have his best game of the year to this point. It's a division game. A lot of people talking about how he's overrated. Mm-hmm. He isn't who they thought that he was. And this is just watching the Ravens all these years. This is a game that the Ravens usually lose, right? It's you're 2-1. You have a division rival who's your closest rival to taking over the division coming into your house. You should win the game, so you lose.
Yep.
I think Baker's going to have his best game of the year. I think Chubb's going to rush for probably right around 60 yards. I think Lamar's going to rebound from his last poor game, but I do think he's going to turn the ball over for the first time this season. Ravens are going to try to establish that run. They're going to try to control the clock, and I think they're going to. And I have a feeling that Miles Boykin is going to step up in some way. Even if it's just one catch, it could be a big touchdown late in the fourth quarter. Got the Ravens winning this one 26-24. They're going to eke it out.
All right. Hey, win's a win, baby, especially against a division opponent.
Absolutely. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for tuning into the Football Frenzy. We'll be back next week to dissect this game and talk about the upcoming Steelers game. Until then, as always, go Ravens. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Take it easy.